My name's Dave Du Boe, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your co-host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Du Boe. And on the show today, I've got a very special guest who's going to talk to us about, I guess it would be addiction and how your past does not define your future, because real estate is something people come to carve out a different life, a different living. And it can do that for you. And you know, I've got my guest here, Ben Phillips. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing amazing. I can't complain. I woke up, I'm breathing, I'm happy. I'm in a nice weather. I just moved to Florida, so not complain.
Yeah, we were talking about that before you moved from Ohio, which is not as good weather. So let's start at the start. How did you get into real estate, and why real estate?
Yeah, man. I'd like to say it's always been a dream of mine, but I guess, when I come from a past of, we grew up with nothing, grew up very poor in Section 8 apartments. My parents split up. I got hooked on drugs very young. So, I started smoking crack when I was 12 years old, got hooked on drugs, went down a path of, basically, I like to call it hell. Yeah. So, when I first got clean, I was looking for this new way of life, and I ended up starting my own business, which was a remodeling business. I call it a handyman business because I did a little bit of everything, but mostly it was flooring, kitchens, bathrooms, remodels. And then I just gravitated toward real estate. I'm like, man, I want to get into flipping houses. And that started just a couple years after I got clean. So that was in 2015.
Okay. And so when did you start actually getting into investing? Because you start with the handyman thing and you probably end up working for investors and then seeing what they're doing. And then it leads you to be like, well, I could do that too. And I'm already doing the work. So it's like 2 and 2 is 4, right?
Yes, sir. It was in 2015. So I saw just like you said, I was installing, flooring or updating bathroom for investors. And I'm like, start talking about numbers, and, 50K sounds good for a profit rather than, the 3,000 or 4,000 that I was for the floor. So, and it was a time where the market was, the market was good in 2015. It was just starting to rise in 2016. And it's something that I started telling all my customers. I'm like, look, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to get into real estate. And honestly, I just didn't have the capital. I didn't have the experience, didn't have the background, but I started telling anybody and everybody that I knew, look, if you know anybody looking to sell a house, send it to me. And that's how I ended up getting our first deal.
Okay. So tell me about the first deal.
Yeah. So the first deal, honestly, man, I went home to my wife and I'm like, look, we're going to get into real estate and we're going to start flipping houses. And I came home one day and I'm like, look, we're selling our house. The market is up right now. We're going to take our profits and buy our first flip. And somehow I talked her into do that. She was like, are you on drugs again? I'm like, no, this is going to work out. Trust me. So we made $38,000 on our first flip or our first by selling our first home. And we took that and I bought that actually from a wholesaler for $38,000 exactly, and didn't have the money. I was going around trying to find, hard money loans and lenders and stuff like that. And it just was the hard money lenders. One of them wanted like 12%.
12, 15, 20, and 2 points at the front. And yeah,
it was 4 points. And then the main one in our town was 4 points, 12% interest, and then 50-50 JV on the profits. I'm like, what do I have left after that, man?
Yeah.
And a couple others were like 2 points, 12. So I'm like, man, look, we're just gonna, I'm like, honey, we're gonna open up a bunch of credit cards. And so I opened up $120,000 worth of credit cards, 0%, borrowed the money, to leverage up for the rehab, So we bought our first flip for 38,000 cash, opened up credit cards at 0% for 12 to 18 months. And that's how we funded our first flip.
And that's a good point that you mentioned, is like, if you want to get started, you can get started that way.
Yep.
And you could probably even buy it on credit cards. You know, a lot of investors, that's a commonly overlooked funding strategy when you're strapped. Like, you know, go and, or credit cards you have now, call them up and say, can I get an extension? You know, if you've been servicing your debt, you can fund the other half of the project. So you put the money on the credit card, you put the money cash down. I guess you're renting a house now because you sold yours. So now you're renting and you're working on the flip. Or did you have to move into that thing and like swing the hammer and live on an air mattress?
No, if I was single with no kids, that's what I would have done. We had 2 kids at that time, and we actually ended up buying another house with an FHA loan, 3.5% down. We got a super solid deal on a house, bought it for 135. And it was a really good deal. And we actually still own that today. And the mortgage payment is $900 and we rent it out for $2,500. So
Wow, there you go.
If
I had a sound effect board, it'd be like some cheers.
for sure.
So, flip the property, bought it for 38. You probably put in like, hopefully not 38, but how much did it take to fix it? And what did you end up selling it for?
No, it was 120,000. This was in the rehab was 120,000. I started
to the studs, like you must have ripped everything down and it was just a shell.
To the studs, opening up the layout, adding a garage. Like this was in the downtown area of Columbus, Ohio, where it was like, you know, really the houses were falling over pretty much. But it was a super hot area. It was being regentrified. It was around like the Children's Hospital and stuff like that. So really good area to flip. There's still a lot of activity going on there now. But I had the construction background. If it was anybody else that was getting into real estate, I would say do not do a full gut.
Don't do that on your first thing. There's easier deals out there. But so you put it all in. What'd you get out?
Yeah, we ended up making 42,000 on that one.
There you go. Yep. 42 and your original, or just 42? So you turned 38 into 42, or you turned 38 plus 42 into 70 something?
Turned 38 or 38 into 42. Yeah. So
okay. So you got in, you got out, you got the thing. So then what?
Then we dumped that 42,000 into another house, and we just kept rolling the profits in. Was able to do one at a time, and these were all full gut renovations. And for about a year, I did the full gut renovations. Then we were able to do 2 and 3, and just kept rolling the profits. We pretty much lived on credit cards to pay our bills because we sacrificed everything and knew that, you know, if we just kept dumping the profits and stuff like that, you know, that initial profit of 42,000 that we made on our first house would, you know, compound over time. And, you know, if we look today, we've made millions in flipping over the last 5 years. So
nice. So why Florida? You know, we mentioned at the top you'd moved. So why Florida? Why not just stay in town and keep, you know, banging the same drum?
Well, we're still doing a lot of activity there. We still flip. You know, kind of rewind a little bit. We started out doing fix and flip from 2015 to 2019. That was the full gut renovations. In 2019, we started our own lead gen division. So doing our own marketing direct to seller. And then we started wholesaling. And that's when we really brought our rental portfolio. So in 2019, our first year, we were doing our marketing. We made 850K our first year. The second year we did 1.5. Third year we did 1.5. This year we'll be on track to do 1.5. I wish it would have doubled, but the market's been a little bit crazy over the last couple of years. So, you know, just living in Ohio, I love Columbus. I love Ohio. It's been amazing for us, but the winter time sucks anymore. Gray skies, snow, cold weather,
slush.
Yeah,
frozen interstates. So you're still working out there. You must be moving quite a few properties. Is that gross or is that net? We're talking about 1.5.
That's net, and we run about a 50% expense ratio.
Okay, so how many projects is that in a year then?
Yeah, well, so we do about 6 to 8 flips a month. We slowed that down a little bit this year and did more wholesaling than flipping.
Okay.
Right now, last year, it's been about a year we've been wholesaling in Florida. When we moved here, we started buying flips, and I have 6 flips going on right now in Florida.
Nice. Well, definitely better weather, and hopefully it's just as profitable. So
Yeah.
tell us about the future, where you're at right now in Florida, why Florida, and what you hope to accomplish now that you've moved down. You said it was like St. Pete?
St. Pete is where we live. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me about your plans in Florida here.
Yeah, man. Florida's it's somewhere we vacationed for over the last 5 and 6 years. We come down here a few times a year. Florida's a great market. So when we first started wholesaling here, we went to Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville. They're always on the top 10 of the hottest markets. I think they're still in the number 5 right now. St. Pete is where we ended up moving at, and it's just across the bridge from Tampa. St. Pete has a lot of activity, the development and stuff like that. So there's a lot of opportunity here as well. A lot of people are moving from Tampa to St. Pete, and it's just a really hot area. I'm on the water. It's an amazing area. It's got the nice downtown lifestyle, what we were looking for, because I'm 38 years old. I kind of still want the mid-range, where in Florida you can move anywhere on the Gulf and you can be at, kind of a retirement community, I say.
Yeah.
So we found St. Pete, and it was really diversified with the age, and then it's still so close to the metro of Tampa that real estate events and stuff like that, which we're actually putting on a couple of events now. But St. Pete is amazing, and the flips have been really, really good for us. Our average flip is about 50K right now in Florida, so that's pretty good average right now. And then, I wanted to keep some rental properties down here. It's just been pretty hard to cash flow with the insurance in Florida right now.
Yeah, a lot of people are going short-term and mid-term rental because you need more cash flow, unless you're buying a rental in like, I guess you'd call it Central Florida, if that's even a place, like the middle between the two sides, somewhere in the middle where you can't really see the ocean. So,
Correct.
Yeah. With what you're doing now, you've been raising capital for what would be about 7 or 8 years now to really fund these things. What would you say is your like ideal investor, like someone you want to partner with, or what, not without, talking about it specifically, but more generally, like what are your interests and what are their interests and how do they align?
Yeah, most of my private money lenders are kind of diversified. A few of them are in real estate. A few of them, don't want anything to do with real estate. But we pay our lenders double-digit returns. We treat them very well. One thing for us, when COVID happened in 2020, we went through and we paid all of our lenders 6 months of interest up front because the world had stopped. People didn't know what was going on. A lot of my lenders were like, I have notes with other investors, or I have, money out with other investors, and I didn't get paid. So, one thing with us is like, I would lose everything before I didn't pay a lender back. But that just really built trust and likability, and it referred people to us and stuff. But I would say, anybody that wants to get into the real estate or has, money sitting in the bank that wants a really good return backed by, real estate and insurance, and just wants to be hands off. Like, it's literally passive income. And most of our investors, they thought about getting into real estate, but then they think about dealing with the tenants and the toilets and the 3 a.m. maintenance calls. They're like, just take my money and give me a passive return every month. And that's kind of like what we're looking for. I don't want to say anything bad, but we've had a couple lenders that like they want to call every 5 minutes and like, what's going on? Where's my money? Let's go to the property. Like, that just kind of becomes more of a headache. So if you just want to put your money to work, get a nice return, not worry about it. Like, we'll send you updates and stuff like that, but we're really looking for people that just want a really good return on their money.
Awesome. And so, I want to touch on this just a little bit before we wrap up the show. As someone who's coming from that kind of addictions past. Let's speak to them real quick, so that we can lift a few people up if they're listening, or if someone they know is listening. Um, some words of advice for people who want to maybe get into real estate or just want change.
Yeah, man. One thing I always say is never let your past define your future. If you're going through hell, don't stop. If I could do this, anybody can do this, man. I didn't go to college. I grew up in Section 8 apartments. I got hooked on crack cocaine really young at a 12-year-old age. I put a gun in my mouth the night before I went to treatment. So like, I thought my life was over. If there's anybody out there that's going through pain and misery, like, you can change your future. Like, definitely reach out to me. I put my handle on here, Ben the House Addict. DM me, reach out to me. But like, don't ever think that you have to live that lifestyle. You're stuck in it. You're stuck in the chains of active addiction, and you can change it. Like, I know doctors, attorneys, lawyers that were strung out, that everybody goes through stuff. Drug addiction is so wide across the US right now. It can take a hold of anybody and everybody. It doesn't care of who you are, where you come from, how you're living and stuff like that. But if you are stuck in it, you can definitely change your lifestyle, but you just have to change everything. Getting clean is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it's been the most blessing that I've ever had in my life as well. So
Awesome. So we kind of touched on the how to get a hold of you, but let's do it one more time. How, if people want to reach out to you and they want to find out more about your business, maybe they want to invest with you, maybe they just want to like talk about maybe their story and how you were able to, get clean, and maybe they need a little bit of help in that direction. How do they find you? What should they do?
yeah, anybody that's, I always say this, I'm an open book, man. I used to speak at treatment centers, prisons, jails. I just want to be the light to be able to help anybody that's going through hell. And if you're not going through that stuff and you just want to learn about real estate, I can definitely help you there. We do have a small mentorship program. Not to plug anything, I'm not here to sell anything. I want to help people. And one of my goals on my vision board is to help 100 people become millionaires. So if you're interested and you want to reach out to me, it's Ben the House Addict, or my phone number 614-822-5098. You can either call me, text me, or reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, time flies when you're having fun, and I really appreciate you being on the show, Ben. And I hope people do reach out, because there's always hope. There's always hope.
Yes.
So until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.